Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. This week, we're covering Oathbringer chapters 96 through 99, wherein there's a big meeting, and Navani's real nervous, and Dalinar's real nervous, and everybody's nervous. We flash to Kaladin, who's having another kind of sad flashback. Pretty depressing these days with Kaladin being in Kaladin's brain. I think we're not surprised, right? Every once in a while, it's just sad to be in there. We see a Shin fortune teller, kind of, and then Kaladin has another weird vision, but this time, like, super vibrant, I guess. And then we go back to Seth, doing some cool Seth stuff, learning to be a Skybreaker, and then Nail finally shows back up. Hi, Nail. Then we go back to Kaladin and friends who are embarking on an adventure on the deep sphere wet thing, but it's not really wet. Anyway, I'm Joe, and with me this week is
Data?
Jack?
And Jamie.
Yes, we're all here back together. So hold on to something, everyone. The Sanderlanche is about to begin.
Yearnings intertwined, the golden age in ashes once again. Under stirring stars, in the burning shards, kindle fragments of the falling rain. So look to the break of dawn, to the break of dawn.
So yeah, we did 4 chapters this week, and I don't know if they seemed to y'all like the most eventful chapters, but there's several interesting little bits in there, I think. But we'll get there. What did you guys think of these 4 chapters?
Yeah, while these chapters, it didn't seem super eventful, there was some really good stuff. The epigraphs are kind of making up for the last set we got, at least the first half of the last set we got, because I feel like we're getting some good kind of like side information in each of these. So I appreciated that for sure. I really enjoyed getting little bits of knowledge nuggets from each of the epigraphs. And then, you know me, I'm not a politics guy. So at first I was kind of bored by the first chapter because I was like, geez. But it was actually pretty interesting getting to see the different sides. And I like being in Navani's head because it's giving us a pretty different perspective, I feel like. And so getting to see her talk to them and kind of figure out like, oh, we're going to have these people do this. That way everybody feels like important and feels like they're contributing. And it's not just like, I want this and I want that. So, I was pleasantly surprised by the end of the chapter where we were as far as negotiations with the other nations. It's like, oh, you know what? This is actually pretty good. So I enjoyed that chapter more than I thought I would when I first started reading it. And then, of course, we got Kaladin being sad, right? He's got a lot on his mind, clearly, as he usually does. So it was an interesting kind of being in his head, seeing that flashback, that sad flashback. He's focused a lot more, I feel like, in this set of chapters on like his past like romances too, right? Like we've gotten little pieces and bits of pieces. Like we kind of knew what the deal was with Laral, but then he keeps mentioning Tara or Tara, however you say the other person's name. And so we're getting a little bit of insight into that as well. And then, yeah, the guy in the light tower, it was almost like a comic relief thing to me. It was like, this guy's just hanging out there and he's waiting for people. He's like, oh, let me tell your fortune. He's like, no, I'm not here for that. He's like, oh, really? I wasted that whole speech on you. So that was kind of a bit of fun stuff. And then them finding passage and getting out onto the ship was really interesting. It's hard because all these things are super interesting when we're out on the ships and we're getting all this new information kind of inundating us, like with how the ships work and how like they communicate through the metal, I guess, on the ship and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like we have so many questions already. It's like you're just adding piles and piles to the list of like lore of like, wait, how does that work? What? Also, it was interesting to me that they don't use the same like nautical terms as, our world. So when they use those nautical terms from our world on that ship, they're like, yeah, why do they use port and starboard? That doesn't make any sense. It's kind of a funny little joke there. And so the ship stuff was definitely interesting, but again, it's like now I just have further questions. Also funny to me that they don't understand how condensation works. I'm like, does that really not exist in your world? But yeah, other than that, the Seth stuff was fun, but at the same time, I was like, man, we're focusing, like the bulk of that chapter was focusing on like Seth just basically learning again to be guys at a challenge, which I feel like we already did that. So I was like, we really need this. But at the same time, Nail shows up, so it kind of made up for it. I'm like, okay, we're going somewhere now. Something's about to happen. So overall, really enjoyed this section. Excited to keep going with good stuff this week.
Yeah, you mentioned how we're in Navani's head, and it's an interesting thing. And when we started the section, we found out Navani was a perspective character. There was some concern. It's like, oh, in the past, we've gotten like a tiny piece of Navani, basically, maybe. But this was a pretty significant chapter that we see from her perspective. And I agree that it's a different look at things. Also, it's fun that you mentioned like Kaladin relationship wise, because it's one of those things. Like, it's hard for me to imagine Kaladin in a relationship. He's not the easiest person to get along with in some ways, or to be around if he doesn't have, like his mission essentially. So it's interesting to me. It's like, man, when did Kaladin have these relationships?
Yeah, relationship, or more likely relation shit. That's a Dane Cook joke.
Zing, take that, Kaladin, or something.
Who the fuck spared a thought for Dane Cook in the last 20 years?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Aside from Jessica Alba, who can't let go of a grudge. Anyway, no, I really like these chapters. I was glad to get inside Navani's head, because we only had like that one brief little glimpse before, and I think she's a very interesting character. Remember back in the old days when we thought she was going to be the secret bad guy? Seems like so long ago.
I mean, it could still happen, I guess.
Seems like so long ago now. But it was one of those things that's just like, I didn't see this coming, but it makes perfect sense. We have talked at length, or at least the characters have talked at length, about how Dalinar is not a diplomat. And you don't want Yasna to be a diplomat. Yasna is the problem solver, not the diplomat. We know this. So it makes sense of their little triad in charge of Urithiru. It's like it'll fall to Navani to be the hand that extends to the other nations and tries to work things out. So I think it really worked. Like, it was interesting seeing inside her head, seeing her thought process as she tries to salvage the situation. Because she's still not a perfect diplomat, but she's better than the other two would have been. And she was able to make it work. So I thought this was a really fun situation to read and to follow her every step of the way. I really liked that one. And as for the other stuff, man, this is what I wanted out of Shadesmar. I wanted to see all the weird shit and how, like, what things are actually like over here, rather than just our protagonist trudging through a barren landscape. Like, okay, crazy man in the lighthouse, ship full of spren, just like, oh shit, you guys need water, don't you? All right, yep, let's figure out how it works. All that bonkers stuff. Like, yeah, this is what I'm here to Shadesmar to see. I lap this up.
Yeah, we're starting to see some weird shit. All right, I really love the moment where Calum's like, I'm going to sneak up on this thing, and then all these spreads start like popping up around him. He's like,
yep. Rules do apply here.
Yeah, it's a whole different set of rules that you're going to have to learn, Calum.
Welcome to the Matrix, you.
But I also like what you said about Navani, because I hadn't thought about it that way. Like, Dalinar's trying to become the diplomat. He's he's a bondsmith. He's trying to bring people together, but it's still not necessarily his best talent. And I don't know that we've seen Yasna try to be diplomatic. She's pretty blunt a lot of the time. So it really does, like, Navani has an important role to play here. This is, and she's doing a good job of it, considering the shit that she's facing.
Yeah. She plays to her strength. She managed to pull through, even things are looking a bit dire, and fucking Eli's in the background going, let's fuck it all up.
Yep.
One little note I really appreciated was how they acknowledged they used to be friends. Because I feel like that's something we've learned that in our flashbacks, and it makes sense, given Gavilar, Dalinar, and Sadeas were all buddy-buddy, so their wives would also be close. So it was nice to acknowledge they have history, which we've barely scratched the surface of, and it just got acknowledged here. I'm just like, ooh, let's dig into that. Let's see what that relationship was like.
Yeah, we could, like, the two of them probably know each other pretty well, or did at one point. So it's interesting we haven't gotten more of her perspective on the Sadeas situation.
Yeah. I mean, we really just haven't gotten a lot of Eli in general. Like, she's shown up at points, but is very much being, like, kept out of everything from our protagonist. And we see why in this chapter. She's just like, yeah, let's invade Shin, fuck him up.
Well, and it's interesting because at the end of the last book, after Sadeas was dead, you guys were like Eli is going to be extremely dangerous. Especially now that she, she cared about Sadeas. It was like the two of them had some weird
Yeah, they genuinely loved each other.
relationship going on. But yeah, they really liked, and so she has not been as big a piece of this as I think we expected.
Not that we've seen, but you know, her
Mm.
whole thing with Sadeas was she moved in the background. He was the public face, and she was like, you know, the knife in the dark. She could still be doing that. She set up Amaram as the public face now, and she, you know, she shows up here to, you know, throw her weight around. But I guess, you know, the other characters, they don't really like dealing with her, so we just haven't seen her that often because she's not going to be overt and force her way into these things. Like, that's not her style. So
True.
I you know, she's probably still winding up something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then that's scary.
Yeah.
We're going to end up at the end of the book and get an ILI perspective or something, and it'll be like, oh, we know things are going down now. It'll be great. That's what I'm looking forward to. Yeah, these were good chapters. Clear, I wasn't here last week, but I am really enjoying the Seth perspective chapters. It's fun to get a bit more of him in such close succession, and sort of seeing him like ace through all the ideals. He's like, "Yep, I got this. Like, I've got this. Sort of, we're all good." But I'm glad we're getting more of him, and looking forward to seeing where he goes with Nail next. It's also just really nice to get a bit of an insight into other orders and how other. Well, I know this is one order of Radiant, but how they're organizing and how they're sort of increasing their numbers. I like the organization of it, and they're like, cool, let's get as many people we can, and we'll shove them through. This works for us, build us up. A funny chapter. I really liked getting that from her perspective. I liked seeing how her brain worked to piece. This person's going to start speaking first. This person is going to act like this. She knows what's going on in that room. You know, she spent a lot of time, obviously, with Dalinar, now with Dalinar, and on her own, learning who all these players are and how to talk to these people. And she was the natural choice to moderate that discussion and lead that discussion. So that was really cool to watch that change and unfold, and how she got all those characters together. So that's cool. We're going to have, you know, a bit of a guide on how all of these different kingdoms interact with each other. That should be really cool to see how that all comes into play going forward. Kaladin, I'm glad that he's, you know, I would say feeling a little better, but I don't think he's feeling a little bit better. I think he's just feeling, I don't know, working through some stuff. Obviously, there's some serious conflict in him, and he's got a lot of work to do to try and get that under control. I did really like when he was climbing up the tower to the lighthouse, and the anticipation sprint. It's like, hell, you used to these little things darting around you, and now there's this toddler-sized thing next to you that's really making you nervous, which is making it worse. So there's more of them. It was quite funny. I really enjoyed that visual as I was reading that. But yeah, it's not going. I don't know. I don't know where you expect to go at the end of a part, going into a new part, but I like where it's going. I love we're exploring Shadesmar more. We've seen bits and pieces of it throughout the books, and it's like it's cool together, but it's also different to what we've read before. And I'm loving that it's this whole new civilization that we've just never even thought about before. So it's been really cool to explore that, see what happens, and hopefully our characters can work out how to get back pretty quick, but not too quick because we want to learn more.
Yeah, it's really one of my favorite things is this learning more about, because like you said, we've seen glimpses of it, and this is where the Spren are from, so it's their world, but we've gotten so little information on it that it's very cool to start seeing all this, I feel like. I was curious, one thing that we talked about a decent amount last time, that when you were not here, was the flashback with Dalinar and Renarin, when, you know, Dalinar ends up crying and like hugging his son and stuff. And did you have any thoughts on that one?
Look, at the time, I really just thought that was a big moment. You know, Renarin has spent so much of his life, you know, being the other son. I don't know how old the boy is. Like, you know, he still doesn't know how old the boy was. But maybe that was like the beginning of a new time for them. Like, I still don't think that he and Renarin are as close as Dalinar and Adolin, in the present day, but you've got kind of that moment, and then back when Dalinar, like Renarin was like getting looks of approval from Dalinar, and Dalinar's there to like bump up his confidence and stuff. Like, I feel like maybe this is a moment of real change for Dalinar in respect to his sons. But it's like Renarin is probably like really true to his mother there, and is like, Mum always said that you were the best man, and he believes that, and he's probably putting that good back into Dal. But yeah, I honestly then I sort of moved on to the next chapters and didn't really think about it a lot more. So what was the general thoughts of the?
I think that it's just it was like at a very emotional moment.
Oh, huge! Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I mentioned last time, but it's just like every time I read that one, the part where Renarin's describing how his mom described Dalinar, it like gets me, and I tear up a little bit. And then Joe and Dak were both like, "Yeah, I was feeling some feelings during that chapter, not necessarily at the same part as you, but yeah, there were feelings happening." And I'm like, okay, good to know it's not just me, I guess.
No, it's a huge thing. We know so much about what Dalinar is going through, and then you can see how it's affecting his sons, and then how they come together. And yeah, it's sad. The whole thing's really sad.
Yeah, that's a good descriptor there. It's sad. Okay, I guess let's move into these chapters, y'all. Our first one was Pieces of a Fabrial, chapter 96. That is our Navani chapter. And as Joe mentioned, like we're kind of jumping into some interesting bits about the Unmade right off the bat in this in part 4 here. Yelignar is said to consume souls, but I can't find a specific explanation. I'm uncertain this lore is correct. So that sounds bad.
Yeah, consuming souls not normally a good thing.
That may not bode well for the Queen of Alethkar, who seems to have bonded with Yelignar. Sucks to be her. I don't know. But we move right into the first meeting of all of the monarchs who have come to Urithiru. Dalinar, in convincing the Azish, kind of opened the floodgates, and there's a bunch of people now. And it's an old Alethi tradition that everyone who comes to the meeting carries their own chair. So, all right, I mean, cool.
I love this, and I feel like you can see so much about the type of person by the chair they bring. This is a great idea. I want to implement this.
I agree. I love this idea. And you do. You see so much. Dalinar wanted to bring a stool, and she's like, no, you cannot just bring a stool. Yasna legit brings a stool. Meanwhile, Tholopin brings like the biggest throne-like chair that he could find.
It's Tholopin. What do you expect?
And Dalinar is still kind of out of sorts. We know what he has remembered that is causing him to not be in a good place. And she's more like, oh, it's okay, Dalinar. I'm sure Elhokar and Adolin are safe somewhere. Which I'm sure is also, weighing on him, but I don't think it's the primary thing that she thinks it is. And she's not sure what's wrong, so I guess that indicates that he has not told her what he remembered. His wife, that might be a thing to share. That might be the person to share that with.
Your current wife, you might need to know about your remembering of your past wife.
And so he's not in a good place to lead the meeting. He's asked her to do it, and she's just like, we worked so hard to get to this point. We can't let it fall apart just because he's like out of sorts. So she has to do it. All of Bridge 4 shows up, and one of them, they're apparently keeping a secret. Which one has the honor blade? They swap it around.
Seems like a good idea.
Yeah, probably. And none of them are concerned about, the fact that Kholinar fell while Kaladin was there. It's like, whatever. He's been through worse.
Remember when he was in the chasm and everybody thought he was dead? He's fine.
Yeah, when he survived a high storm in the chasm and a chasm fiend fight, yeah. Gox, the Azish Prime, nobody calls him Gox except for Lift anymore, but he's here. I like the note that the tailor has managed to make his regal clothing fit. He doesn't look like a kid swimming in his state robes. And he has also a very ornate throne. And then all of the leaders of these other countries, or the representatives from these other countries, carry chairs that are just slightly less nice than that one, to show that they're ostensibly underneath the rule of Azir. We got the Prime of Emul, the Princess of Yezir, the ambassador from Tashik. A fairly good range of people here. And there's even a guy from New Natanon. What used to, like, Natanaton used to be like this whole huge area of the continent. And now it's basically just one little city, the New Natan city. But they still get representation. They showed up. And Iali Sadius has come. She ignores the bringing your own chair thing and has her guards bring in her chair. Because you got to be a jerk. And Sabariel shows up late to the meeting. At least they hadn't shown up bearing massage tables, which I think would have been hilarious, but whatever.
Hilarious, inappropriate.
Yeah. And we get that point where it's like, it seems so long ago Iali and Navani had huddled together at dinners, conspiring on how to stabilize the kingdom. Now Navani wanted to take her and shake her. Can you stop being petty for one storming minute? No, she cannot. I mean, okay, that's not completely fair. Her husband was murdered. It's not exactly petty, but...
No, definitely not petty.
And Queen Fen from Thelana shows up. Taravangian is here, and based on what Taravangian says during the meeting, it's always hard to tell in public. Is he actually having a stupid day, or is he pretending? But he seems pretty stupid today.
Just pretty stupid, not completely stupid.
Now Taravangian gets to be the quiet Jimmy.
Yeah, because there's like the one moment where they're like, "Hey, yeah, you've got those shard shields, right? Yeah. How strong are they? I don't know. How strong do you need them to be?"
Wait, what is it that you need again? Oh, right. The shields.
What are we talking about again?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Quiet, Jimmy. Oh, man. And there's also a bunch of interpreters in the room. We know that Dalinar can, like, understand other languages by grabbing a person. He did that before. It's a shame he can't, like,
Just
do a general translation.
Go
for
around
everybody.
grabbing each person. Like, hey, let me grab you for a second. All right, cool.
Dalinar.
Now let me grab
That's
you. All right, sweet.
I was picturing Dalinar running around playing Duck Duck Goose.
I think it makes more sense as he goes around shaking the hands of the other monarchs, but okay, Duck Duck Goose works too. And so they start talking, and it immediately becomes clear, like, everyone has different agendas here.
Obviously.
Like, the guy from Emul has lost most of his territory. Like, most of his country has been taken. And he's like, well, obviously the first step is to take back my country, right? And then we should conquer Tukar, that country I've been at war with forever, because they suck, and that dude in charge of them is crazy.
Love how there's just no hesitation. She's like, Navani's like, open the floor, and he is straight on this. And it's like, well, this is what I'm here for. Fuck the rest of y'all.
I mean, he's the leader of his country. He doesn't have a country or much of one anymore. I get it.
It's just, he was in there so quick.
And then she's trying to get some help from the Azish Prime, who's theoretically over the Emuli Prime. And the Azish, like, discuss for a minute, and then there's like, we recognize the Prime of Emul and are aware of his desires. Anyone else want to comment? And the Tashiki are more interested in all this technology, the oath gates and stuff. And Fen is like, we should have free trade through the oath gates. And other people are like, what? Yeah, sure, that'd be good for you, the merchants, but like, everybody has their own stuff that they're focused on here. And Navani is trying to wrangle everything while Dalinar sits in the back and looms, essentially. He pops in to say, the ancient oaths are spoken once more. We are again radiant. This time we will not abandon you. I vow it. And everyone's like, all right, cool. We're still worried about these magical powers you guys all of a sudden have.
Like, thanks for the info. Moving on.
And then Iali jumps in to be like, hey, we should stop dancing around, patting ourselves on the back for how awesome we are. Obviously, we should be invading Shinovar. It's a bounteous land. Their orchards grow without end. We should seize that land to supply our armies. And everyone else in the room is like, yeah, this makes perfect sense. This is how the Alethi want to act. They want to conquer the world. Yeah, all right. And then they start talking about, how do we invade Shinovar? Here's the difficulties in that. And then Navani has to take a different tack, where she's like, look, how about this? What are the Azish people's greatest strengths? And they're like, our laws, of course. She's like, yeah, you have this amazing bureaucracy, all of these clerks and scribes, and this great organization. You're the best organizers in the world. So, what if you guys wrote up a code for how we interact in this new alliance? And the Azish are like, wait, what? Really? You'd let us do that? Oh my gosh!
Christmas has come early for the Azish.
We love writing rules. This is the
Yeah.
best. Fen, on the other hand, has an issue, and Navani's like, well, but what if you guys got to administer trade through the Oath Gate since you're such amazing merchants? And Fen's like, wait, what? Hold up. And Sabariel is unhappy about this and chokes on the snacks that
It's like,
he's
that's my
eating.
job, damn it.
And Navani's over here like, that'll teach you to show up late to my meeting.
Just gloriously petty. I love it.
And they're like, okay, but what are the Alethi going to do in this whole thing? And she's like, well, what we're good at is fighting. So what if our generals helped you secure your kingdoms? We send some armies to help you out. And like, to help you secure what you have left, basically. And the guy from Amul's like, by every Catasix that has ever been holy, yes, please. And then they start talking about, like, where do we need to defend? If we're not going to invade somewhere else, like Dalinar's like, we shouldn't be asking where to strike. We should be asking where they're going to strike. They have Eerie, they have Marat, they have Alethkar, and this is the moment where they have to reveal to everyone, yeah, Alethkar is basically completely fallen. We've lost it. And so they start discussing, like, okay, so where would they go next? And then there's this moment where everyone in the room kind of turns and looks towards Taravangian, and he's like, oh crap, are they coming for me? And they're like, yeah, I mean, that kind of makes the most sense. The Vedden Civil War left the country in ruins without as many troops as they used to have, and if they own Alethkar, there's this giant border between Alethkar and Yakaved. And as the first kind of like group effort, they're like, we're going to help defend Yakaved. We're going to Alethi troops and Azish troops get committed. We're going to help you protect your territory, Taravangian. And suddenly it's looking like maybe this coalition thing can actually work. And Dalinar has some comments for Navani. Like, I mean, you're promising a lot to people. And she's like, well, we were going to have to give up stuff to make this work. We can't be in charge of everything. And she's like, yeah. And just keeps staring. She's like, crap, we need the Blackthorn. Like, do something, Dalinar. But the chapter ends with, like, basically, we've taken a really good first step here towards unifying. And yet, somehow, she felt more powerless than ever. And that's the end of the chapter, which is a bit of a downer to end the chapter on. But overall, like Joe said, he's not a big fan of politics, but I agree. I like that the way that things go here, that we're actually making progress. It's nice.
It's not just sitting there talking. And it's like, oh no, let's make some decisions. Okay, cool. Everybody's actually happy with this. Great.
Yeah, this is not well of a session where they're just arguing the points over and over.
Gosh, yeah, they went and argued in like the whatever they called their parliament. Those guys all sucked. It's such a good representation of how your elected officials just suck and are only out for themselves all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, let's not get into that. Chapter 97, I believe I'm going to say it should be Rai Aino is the name of this chapter. Of the Unmade, Sha'anat was most feared by the Radiants. They spoke extensively of her ability to corrupt Spren, though only lesser Spren, whatever that means. So, Sha'anat, corrupter of Spren. It's not good. And as Joe mentioned, we start out with another, like, kind of Kaladin flashback, but it's not his book, so he doesn't get an actual flashback. He just sits there and remembers stuff that happened.
Yeah, it's Brandon cheating, basically.
This is the Dalinar book, as long as I say so.
That's right.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I definitely had to do a bit of a double take. I was like, we don't have Kaladin flashbacks in this book, do we? No?
Yeah, that's why it has
No.
to start. Like,
Okay.
Paladin remembered this. It's like, okay, come on.
Well, we don't have Kaladin flashbacks in this book. Well, we do now.
Yeah, it's like it's like
Yeah.
sneakily woven into the current narrative, basically by saying like, "Hey, Kaladin was thinking about some stuff, and he was pretty sad. This is what he was thinking about."
Yep. Here's why now we know why Kaladin is
Yeah,
sad.
I mean, I feel like we have known, but yeah,
We've known for quite a long time why Kaladin is
Yeah.
sad.
I think the title of Kaladin's story throughout these books is "Why Kaladin is Sad." The Stormlight Archive.
Spook
Why Kaladin is sad.
That's subtitle. Yep. The whole thing is why he's sad.
Yeah, it's true.
It's just a lot of sad stuff happens to him, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, I don't want the
But
sad
in this
stuff that
case-
happened to him happen to me. You know.
No, hell no. No. God, no.
Gods, no.
I mean, the Shalon stuff that happened to her, I don't want that either.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like Dalinar is the architect of much of his own suffering, but he didn't. Some really bad stuff happened to him also. So far, nobody who's having flashbacks has been like, "Oh, this person had an amazing life. I want to do that. I want that."
Yeah.
Maybe it's just that Roshar sucks.
Yeah, nobody's. Everybody's having a straight up bad time in Roshar. That's what it is.
I was about to say, remember the good old days on Scadrial? Wait a second.
Wait a minute.
What was that?
Okay, you completely broke up on that. Didn't get any of that, Jamie. Nope.
You sound like a robot. Okay, now that came through.
Yeah,
The frustration
I heard.
Nothing is going my way today. Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay. It sucks to be a scar. The moment's passed. Let's move on.
Yeah. I was gonna say the same thing, Jamie, but I was like, it brings new meaning to it. Sucks to be a Scott. It's basically just sucks to be on Roshar.
Sucks to be Rosharan.
Nowhere in the Cosmere is just delightful at this point. Let's be fair.
I mean, second era Scadrial after the events of Era 2 seems like it's pretty all right.
So Nalthis isn't terrible.
We've definitely seen worse. Yeah, there's some cool stuff there. Probably after the events of Elantris, living around Elantris is pretty cool because the magic powers and stuff providing things. So maybe there's some good places to go. You still got the Swordle Empire trying to conquer everything. But...
Oh yeah, Viking Pope.
Yeah, Viking Pope and Jadeth, his god. Anyway. I don't remember if we've talked about it, but there's theories that Jadeth is another avatar of autonomy, and that that's what's going on. So,
oh my god,
Jadeth,
Parchi, and now I should have the calculon me in my head. They're like, let me get this straight. Is there anyone here who isn't an avatar of autonomy?
Yeah, fair. So this flashback of why Kaladin is sad deals with him trying to escape slavery. One of the 10 times he tried to escape. He's got this older woman. He's promised to help her find her husband who got sold to another household. But they're getting chased down, and then she gets killed. And there's a voice like, "Hey, stop shooting at my property." And they're like, "Hey, no, we got to do it unless you want to encourage this kind of behavior." And Kaladin is the only one who survives.
Kelsey, as he is a burning.
Always survived. They said it was because he hadn't run with the others who got shot down because he was trying to get this woman out of the bush, basically. Mm. But really, they needed someone to bear a warning to the other slaves of what happened when you try to escape. That's cold. But in actual right now, in Shadesmar, Kaladin is trying to sneak up to the lighthouse to see what's going on there. They don't want to just stroll in. Who knows what's happening?
Is that like an official plot device, actual right now?
Yeah, exactly. That's it's the new thing. Everyone's saying it, don't you know? He wonders how they get fuel for the bonfire that seems to be lighting the top of the lighthouse, which I think is a fair question. And he gets up close and is waiting, and all of a sudden he sees something crawl out of the beads, a round, lurg-like creature with a fat, bulbous body and squat legs about the size of a toddler. In my brain, it's like a big frog.
What is a lurg? What the fuck does lurg-like mean?
Oh, so we've heard of lurgs before.
Have we?
Lurg, yeah, if you... Hold on, let me make sure that I'm remembering this right. But if we go all the way back to the Way of Kings, and I think they've been mentioned a couple times since then, but you go back to the Way of Kings, and they like make cocoons, and the cocoons dissolve when they get wet, and so like Tien and Kaladin like play with one and make it like pour water on it so it jumps around thinking that it's raining, and then when it's not, it starts putting itself back in a cocoon.
Right.
So they torture the poor creature, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it was fine, but in my brain, it's like a big toad or something. The way that it's described,
butterfly frogs.
And then the entire top half of its head tips backwards, and a long tongue shoots out into the air to flap and wave around. And he's like, "Oh crap, that's an anticipation spread. They're streamers when you see them on the other side, but that's their tongues? Jeez." What other simple, stable parts of his life were complete lies? I feel like that's going a little far, but...
Yeah, that's just a bit dramatic. It's like, they're not lies. You just couldn't see the whole picture.
And then he like kicks the thumb, like, shoot, get out of here. But they won't leave. And finally, he's trying to calm himself. They won't go away. And so he just starts walking forward and they hop behind him and follow him. It's just like the worst sneaking ever when you got like a party announcing you by streaming their tongues in the air.
Yeah. It's basically like frogs made out of chainmail wrapped around your foot while you're trying to roll for stealth.
Oddly specific, but okay.
A very specific.
Yeah, hey, you guys just haven't played enough Dungeons and Dragons. Is what it sounds like.
Oh man,
I've not encountered chainmail frogs. True.
yet.
Yeah.
Yet, exactly.
There you go. Weave them into your next campaign. Figure out the stats for me.
Somebody in the campaign that I'm running now was talking about like, can we incorporate Labubus in some way? Because they're terrifying looking. I was like,
And that's when you say, yes, we could hypothetically do that.
it's a thing that could happen, yeah. But he makes his way up to the lighthouse, and there's an old shin man inside, completely bald, wrinkled skin, reading a book. And he's like, a human. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but... And then the guy notices something and looks up, and Kaladin ducks down, but the anticipation sprint are still there, shooting their tongues up. And he's like, dang it. And the guy's like, who's out there?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, fine.
It's like, God damn it. I got caught. These guys are really crimping my style.
And we cut back to Shallan, who is having her own troubles as they wait for Kaladin. She's trying to find this balance that Wit told her to find, and she's having some issues here. And she's trying to sketch, but it's not turning out well. And Syl and Pattern are having a conversation, which is one of my favorite conversations here, where it's like, Syl says, so does the world look weird to you or normal? And Pattern's like, weird. Same as for everyone. And Syl's like, yeah, I guess we don't even have eyes, really. We're just pieces of power made manifest. Honor Spren, we mimic honor. You guys mimic, I don't know, weird stuff. And then Pattern has my favorite line where he's the fundamental underlying mathematics by which natural phenomena occur. Truths that explain the fabric of existence. And she's like, yeah, weird stuff. Got it. Just thanks, Syl.
It really makes me feel like the cryptics have had a misjustice done to them. You know, all this time everyone's like, oh no, don't trust them. It's like, just give them a break. They're just math nerds.
Yeah, we just like math,
They
man.
are.
Calm down.
They're just giant nerds. Don't be mean.
What's that meme about, like, someone's very religious grandmother sat in on a session of D&D to see if it was really satanic, and then halfway through the session got frustrated, just went, this is just math, and walked out.
It is more math than you would probably think if you haven't played.
Yeah, but that's just what the cryptics are. They're just math.
Yeah. Not satanic at all.
They're just math.
These are math, not meth. Ooh.
Ooh, yeah. You don't want that.
And then there's a weird moment where Shallan asks Adolin what he thinks of Azure, and he goes off on a big thing about her outfit and what he thinks about her outfit. And she's like, yeah, that wasn't what I was asking. He's like, clothing says a lot about people. And then a new Spren shows up that looks a lot like a Glory Spren, except instead of a sphere for a head, it has a cube. And Syl's like, oh crap, that's one of Odium's corrupted Spren. So when you corrupt a Glory Spren, their heads turn to cubes.
So
I mean, I wouldn't want my head to be a cube.
makes them hard to fit through doors.
Yeah, I don't. And we cut back to Kaladin, who the Shin guy is like, oh, cutting it close, huh? Well, yeah, come over here. The best readings are right before the high storm. It's going to hit in a couple minutes. And Cal's like, wait, what?
So this, he invites him and says, so you've come to do these things. And Callan's like, no, that's not what I'm trying to do. And the guy's like, yeah, okay, no, don't tell me. I'm like, we're trying to do this. I'm like, am I reading Back to the Future right now? When like Doc's like got the mind control device and Marty has to tell him it doesn't work.
And the guy thinks that he's trying to argue about the price. He's like, it's just 2 marks of Stormlight. It'll be great. You'll be rewarded both in dreams and luster, whatever the hell that means. And then the dude has a crystal ball that starts glowing. And Cal's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. It's like, you came for a fortune, didn't you? The Raiai Oracle? You wish me to see unwalked paths?
So,
And Cal's like, what?
Raiai. That sounds Elantrian.
Yeah. This guy is an Elantrian.
Fucking knew it.
In case that wasn't obvious from later on, he's like, merciful, don't
Yeah. That was the clinch. That was the clincher. But it was like, all right, this seems like just the way his name, like the name is spelled. I'm like, that's not Rosharan.
Yeah. And he like refers to Kaladin's like asking if he's invested. Oh, he's a full radiant. It's like, oh, this guy knows about other types of investiture. Like this guy
Yeah,
is in the know.
he's clued in.
Yeah, he's like, check out my what do they call it in Lord of the Rings? Palantir, the Seer Stone, whatever it's called. It's like, check out my
Oh
Seer
yeah,
Stone.
I guess he kind of is.
Yep.
He's like, oh, telling the future is evil.
Yeah, Kaladin's like, you can't look at the future. That's forbidden.
Yeah, Gandalf's like, it's basically Gandalf talking to Saruman. He's like, this is not good. We shouldn't be doing this.
Kaladin's like, I just came here looking for passage. We heard ships come through, and he's like, oh, why didn't you say so? I was really enjoying the speech. Oh well. And then, as the storm hits, Kaladin is curious about this crystal ball thing and touches it, and something happens. Meanwhile, back at Shallan and co at their camp, this corrupted glory spren starts talking to her in the voice of Shah Anat. Odium suspects you survived. We've never managed to enlighten such powerful spren before, so he thinks something weird happened with the Oath Gate. So that's also interesting. They've never done spren so powerful before, and now they can. That's not good.
Also nice to know Odium's trying shit that hasn't worked before. He's like, I don't know if this is gonna work. Shit, did that work?
Maybe it didn't. I don't
Not
know.
quite as omnipotent as he put onto Dalinar.
And she says that she's lied and told him she thinks they were sent far away from the transfer point. But he has minions in this realm and they will hunt you. So take care. Also, he thinks you're an else caller for like Shah not knows she's a Lightweaver. It's like for some reason Odium thinks you're an else caller. I don't know.
He thinks she's Yasna, I guess.
Well, no, they've been lying and saying that she's an else caller to people because she wants to keep her ability to do illusions secret. So he's falling for the lies that they're telling people. Maybe his informants are hearing the lies and passing it on or something.
Yeah, there's something there to that. It just bothers me, but I can't think what it is.
Meanwhile, Kaladin gets a vision of Dalinar kneeling somewhere dark, surrounded by 9 shadows, a flash of glowing red eyes. Dalinar is doomed unless Kaladin helps.
Let's go back to what Dak said for just a minute. Yeah, I think that's a good point, Dak. It's like, I think what's important maybe about that statement is that Odium can't see everything and he's not all knowing. And he's like, he has to have eyes and ears to be able to get information. He can't just look down and see Shallan using her powers, right? So like that's actually a good piece of information to have in a small little statement. It's like, oh yeah, this guy doesn't know everything.
Not just that. He thinks that he does know what she is, and it's a lie that they have actively put out. Really, the only place they have put that out is in Urithiru and among their allies at Urithiru. So does that mean Odium's got someone on the inside?
Yeah, that's very good point. And we know that she's had interactions with the Unmade using her power, which means that Odium maybe can't directly communicate with the Unmade.
Or they're not telling him everything.
Right, because the Unmade on Urithiru, she used her power against it.
That's right. Yeah, Rashafir got the full dose.
So, yeah, maybe a little bit revelatory there. But yeah, so Kaladin has this vision, and the guy's like, wait, you saw something? That's impossible unless you're invested. What heightening are you? Like, he thinks he's got breaths, and he's... because that's what the heightening thing referred to. No, something else. Merciful Domi, a Surge Binder? It's begun again? So yeah, that's the big giveaway that this is an Elantrian.
Yeah.
Not just an Elantrian that we have met before.
What?
Of course it is, because why would it be somebody new?
So, any guesses if you guys remember anybody that this might be?
That was fucking years ago.
Yeah, I don't. I really don't remember anybody but the main 2 Elantrian guys we hung out with.
Red and Galadon, fair. And we saw Galadon like in he was in Way of Kings.
Yeah, and this guy doesn't strike me as a descriptor of Galadon.
No.
We also did see some Elantrians in Secret History.
It's true.
That was before we knew what Elantrians were, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah. It was indeed.
I feel like it's going to be like an obscure one that we've like met and said hello to once and moved on with our lives.
So this fellow, you probably do remember actually, although we never got his name because he was incapable of telling us his name. This was one of the they were called Hoed. The Elantrians were laying around like repeating the same thing over and over because they were just like so ruined by everything. Yeah. This particular guy was the one who communicated to them what he wanted. He wanted to be taken to the pool and put in.
Oh, I do
And
remember that event.
He seemingly disintegrated. Everyone thought like, oh, the pool kills you because that's what happened to that guy when we put him in. It did not. But yes, so guy gets put in, disappears, did not die, ended up in the cognitive realm, which we know the cognitive realm around Cell is supposed to be very dangerous. That's where all this energy is hanging out. So what happened to him after that, we are not sure, but Brandon has confirmed that this is the same guy. And I believe he's also said that he's a member of the Irie. Like I don't know if he joined them after he ended up in the cognitive realm. Maybe they found him. I don't know. But he is working with or for them in his position here. Maybe to relay information back about like stuff that's happening, or I don't know. It's not clear. But he's that guy. He's that guy. Anyway. So random fun fact. This I mentioned when Justin from There's Always Another Podcast wrote in, and he was like, "You're about to get to that point where it's like, I know who the fuck you are." I was like, you guys were like, "Oh, that's got to be about Azure, right?" And I was like, maybe, or it could be. There's another person coming up who he might be. I know who you are. This was the other person I was talking about.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
But getting back to, we cut back to them just all being in the building, and they're negotiating. Adolin and Shallan are negotiating with Rino. Maybe I'll call him Reno. Keen in the other book was Kai-Ein, but we were like, we're not saying it that way. I don't want to say this that way either. It's so annoying to say. This guy, they're negotiating with him about finding passage. There's a ship coming anytime now. And Azure's like, yeah, he's a charlatan, pretending that he can see the future just to, scam you out of some money. Your society was right to forbid stuff like that. And he's like, but I saw something. She's like, well, yeah, but they use like powders and stuff that make you think you're seeing things. Even the gods of my land only catch glimpses of the spiritual realm. And I've only ever met one guy I think really understands it, and he might actually be a god. I don't know. Apparently she's talking about Hoyd. But also, we got canned food. Aelin walks over and hands Kaladin a squat metal cylinder and uses a device to break open the top, and there's some fish rations in it. So they don't have canned food on Roshar. I think this is actually supposed to be. I don't remember if it's even come up before. I think this is one of the exports of Scadrial into the cognitive realm to other planets is canned food, because other people don't have canning technology or something.
Neat.
Yeah. And even back in the days of the Lord Ruler, like they had canned food in the storage caverns.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Vin got stuck down there and had to like try to open one without a can opener.
Speaking of things that were fucking years ago.
I will say it is interesting that from a Earth historical perspective, right? Because Scadrial's supposed to be kind of like the people that are kind of supposed to be French, I guess. But canning was invented by a Frenchman.
Did not know that.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
During the Napoleonic Wars.
Neat.
So, yeah, we knew that there was like some trade going in and out of Scadrial even during the days of the Lord Ruler, and I think this was a major export then, was the canned stuff. Mm-hmm. So he just digs into the fish meat with a spoon. He's like, this is actually better than Soulcast stuff. So I imagine he's eating like a can of tuna, just like, And the ship that's coming is going to the city of Celebrant, which is a big city in southeastern Alethkar. It's the wrong way if we're trying to get to the peaks to go through the perpendicularity, but it's a big city. We can get a ship going anywhere from there, basically. So, all right, let's do that. Meanwhile, Kaladin, he draws a picture of what he saw of the city, this thing, the place that Dalinar is going to be where he needs help, he thinks. And Shallan goes, hey, that's Thaylen City, which I feel like kind of confirms that he saw something real in his vision, because how did he just draw a city he didn't know? But Dalinar's going to be there. He's going to be in trouble. And Kaladin says, hey, the Oathgate works in Thaylen City. Maybe we can go there and move from this side back to the physical realm.
Kaladin had been there once, he said, I think, right?
He did. He went to the Oathgate there to fly.
I was going to say, he had to open the gate.
I'd forgotten that, yep. And the lighthouse keepers told him that ships coming from the peaks have just been not showing up lately. Something's going on up there. So maybe that's not a good direction to go anyway. Azure, on the other hand, is determined that's the way we should go. It's the only sure way to get back. And then Kaladin spots the ship. No sails or anything. It's pulled by long, sinuous spren with triangular heads that float in the beads. And Aelin's like, at least we'll be traveling in style. And that's the end of that one. Then we get another Seth chapter. I told you there'd be some. The chapter is Loopholes. And the epigraph says, lore suggested leaving a city if the Spren start acting strangely. Curiously, Shah Anat was often regarded as an individual, when others like Moalach and Ashurt-Marn were seen as forces. So we've heard before that some of the Unmade are more like individuals and some of them are more like just forces of nature almost. And so this is just expanding on that a little bit. And we've apparently talked to Shah Anat. She does seem like a person you can talk to, kind of, an individual anyway. And Ashurt-Marn was the Heart of Revel. That didn't seem very talkative. So Seth and the Skybreakers are going to yet another test. They're basically going to play paintball. Like, we have bags with powders of different colors. You guys are going to fly around and throw them at each other. And whoever has the least hits at the end wins.
Actually seems very fun.
Oh, I agree. This seems awesome. If I could fly, I would play this, but I would do lots of things if I could fly.
You could do it with like the bungee cords, like jump around, and that would be like also probably not safe.
Oh,
I would love
But
that.
fun.
That sounds awesome.
it does. Now I'm just picturing that. Okay, anyway.
Let's go. Bungee paintball.
Yeah. You could get tangled up in other people's bungees if you guys were bouncing too close to each other, I guess. But anyway. I'm not going to be able to make this a reality. I'm not going to start a new business of bungee paintball, so I'm not going to think too
Yeah,
deep
I
into
don't
it.
even know where or how you would do that.
Oh. And Seth's like, I mean, I don't care if I win some stupid contest, but I get the chance to fly around, to dance on the wind without worrying about causing death and destruction. All right, I'm in. And Nightblood, on the other hand, is like, man, what is this? Where's the evil? Come on. And Seth does a decent job. Like, he stays out of it for the most part and dodges and avoids. And honestly, it's not a super, like, relevant to the overall story chapter, but I think it's a lot of fun. I like the description of the game.
You know what? After everything Seth has been through his whole life, it's nice to see he's just like, hey, Seth, you want to play some paintball? Seth would like this.
Yeah. Let dude have some fun. And then, like, as is doing better than everyone else, at some point they decide to, like, team up on him. And the sword's like, hey, now you can take him, come on. And they kind of bash him up pretty good. But Seth has spotted the loophole in the instructions of the game. You're judged on how many marks you have on your clothing at the end of the game. And we're flying around over the Pure Lake. So he goes into the water after he's been hit a bunch of times and basically washes himself clean. And Seth comes at the end, like this other guy, Ty, is who's kind of the ringleader of the other side that was going after him. He's pretty confident that he won. He's only got 5 spots on his outfit. And he tells Seth that you had at least 24 by the end there. And Seth's like, I think the rules are the winner has the fewest marks on his uniform. And as you can see, my uniform is clean.
I feel like this is a pretty glaring loophole for people who are supposed to uphold truth.
No,
I mean,
no,
Or just, I guess it's just,
are all
it's
about
not
the
so
law.
much truth.
yeah, these guys are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's the cryptics who are about the truth. These guys are about the law, which not always hand in hand.
Yeah, no,
Well-
okay, true.
And we've seen before that they're very much about the letter of the law. Like in the last section, it was like this guy who was in charge of keeping these prisoners was basically like not doing his job, but he hadn't technically done anything illegal until they escaped. And then we could kill him.
Yeah, I
So,
guess. How well do you understand
get-
the law, I guess, is if you find the loophole, you've
Yeah.
understood the instructions. Yeah, okay, I can see it.
The Skybreakers are the super lawyers.
Yep. I can see how it dovetails with their training, that they leave this loophole here and they're like, who is thinking about the letter of the law specifically enough to spot it? And that's the guy's like, there's always one who notices it. Remember that while loopholes are to be exploited, Seth Sunnaturo, they're dangerous to rely upon. But yes, you win. And also, there's 2 high spren just kind of hanging out in the sky watching this whole thing. And he looks up at them and he goes, others agree. So apparently the high spren are agreeing with this.
He just looks at Ty and goes, Seth Sunnaturo who wore white the day he told you to suck it.
I was trying to see, did it describe what the high spren look like here when they show up?
No.
Okay. Okay, so there's 2 spren floating nearby, shaped as small slits in the air. They separated the sky like wounds in skin, exposing a black field full of stars. So there you go. That is what the high spren look like. They're just like splits in reality that you can see a field of stars through, which kind of neat. I was going to show you guys the high spren plush because I think he looks cool. There it is.
Well, that's
Hey.
okay. Cosmic Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, the hair definitely Edward Scissorhands. I agree. Yep.
That's weird, man.
Or else Longshot from the X-Men just had a really goth day.
But anyway, apparently they're impressed with Seth also. Everyone is like, man, the Seth guy, he's got it down. And some people start to try to rules lawyer back, like, no, he used a weapon, he broke the rules. He's like, I didn't attack anyone with a weapon, I blocked with it. You attacked me, said a woman. Physical contact was not forbidden, and I cannot help it if you're unable to control your lashings when I release you. And all the masters are like, yeah, this guy, he's beyond the skill of these. I hadn't even realized. And they're like, man, you're going to have a spren really soon based on how good you're doing, Seth. And he's like, no, not soon. Now. I'm going to say the third idea right now. And then a voice says no. And we look up and Nail is back. Before you swear, there are things you need to understand. Masters and squires, gather our gemstone reserves in mobile packs. We will leave most of the squires. They leak Stormlight too much and we have a long way to go. Tonight, it is time for you to learn 2 of the greatest secrets I know, he says. And then the chapter ends. So...
Dun dun dun.
Cool. I want to know the secrets now, though. Why you gotta just like tease us like that?
Okay, and now this is the last we see of Seth in the book, right? We don't get to learn these new things from Nail until book 5.
That would be about our speed, right? Yeah. I can neither confirm nor deny that you never see Seth again in any of the books. That would be hilarious, actually. No. We get a cool picture of the Mandras, these spren that pull the ships in Shadesmar. Shallan has a bunch of description here, which I won't go into. But their heads are shaped like Lux spren on what we see on the other side, which we've heard of Lux spren before. They fly around great shells and they fly around sky eels and stuff. Chapter 99, Reachers. Ner'gul was known for driving forces into a battle rage, lending them great ferocity. Curiously, he did this for both sides of the conflict, Voidbringer and human. This seems common of the less self-aware spren. So they can't direct their powers as specifically because they're not as intelligent, I guess, is the idea.
So this sounds like the Thrill, but I thought Moloch was the Thrill dude.
No, Moloch is the Death Rattles.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I got that mixed up in my head.
Yeah, we've mixed those 2 up before because we heard about them both in the diagram, but they're such weird names.
Yeah.
They remind me of like demon names or something, which may be intentional.
Yeah, that seems apt.
Yeah.
So we join them on a ship. Kaladin wakes up and he's remembering Elokar and Moash and worried about Scar and Drehi. Just bad thoughts in his head, as happens when you're horribly depressed. And Light Spren, commonly called Reachers, are the crew of the ship. They look like humans with strange bronze skin, metallic as if they were living statues. I want to see if... here's a picture of the Reacher plush, now that we're just on the topic, and I'm showing you guys fun little... Doesn't look super metallic, but I get what they're going for there. Let's see. The ship has wicked harpoons in racks. I don't know what for, but okay. And then Still is here, and she's turned her hair black and her skin flesh colored, like Kaladin's. What the heck? Like he has never seen her like that before.
Like, she can do that?
And the Reachers seem a little bit not like friendly, really. They're not like mean, but they're just kind of straightforward, I guess. He's just like, you human, come with me. And Kaladin asks questions, and the guy, his name is Aiko, he answers them. Like, we don't have... And we find out that they have perfect gemstones at the money changers where the light doesn't leak out, so they can take light from your stones and give you credit to spend in the city, and that's how you spend money without your money just draining away.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And actually, we heard earlier in this book a reference to perfect gemstones, if you will recall. As the duly appointed keepers of the perfect gems, we of the Else Callers have taken the burden of protecting the ruby, nicknamed Honor's Drop. So, we didn't know the significance of a perfect gemstone at the time, but that seems to... It doesn't lose Stormlight. That's got to be a plus for people who use Stormlight to use their superpowers. So. And so they have a device, and the guy's just like, Stormlight. And kind of goes, well, for what? For you to live. Are you threatening me? And he's like, no, just look, this is the soul of water. We need some Stormlight. You can get some water out of it, okay? And so somehow you take the ice, you make the thing cool, it makes water, you drink, you don't die. Okay? And Syl is upset that they won't let her ride one of the mandras. Kaladin says smart, and she says insufferable.
To be fair, I would also be going, hey, can I ride one of those things?
It's very Aang. Like, I want to ride the giant koi fish, the elephant koi.
They are dealing with very different problems.
It's true. He's like, why would you want to get on the back of one of those? And she goes, because they can fly. He goes, well, so can you. Actually, so can I. You don't fly. You fall the wrong way.
Falling
Burn.
with
That
style.
flag falling with style.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
It's not that
falling the wrong way is pretty stylish.
I mean, yeah. How many people can do that? You
Yeah.
know? And we find out that Syl looks different because she had Shallan make up a light weaving for her. She doesn't want rumors of an honor spren getting around.
I completely forgot about that, hence my confusion before.
And Shallan is over there, and Syl's like, hey, you should go talk to her. What about wasting Stormlight on your disguise? Yeah, maybe I should. Don't lecture her. Chat with her about fun things. Syl's trying to matchmake here. It's like, dude, her fiance is on the boat. Like, and I like Syl's explanation why that's okay. He's like, yeah, that's a promise. It's not an oath. So
that's
it's
messed
fine.
up, Syl. Don't be like that.
Yeah, no, I'm not about this.
Mm-mm.
This is not a path you want to go down. So it's inappropriate. Not okay with it.
And she tries to be like, hey, you need someone. You're alone and lonely, and I'm trying to help you. And that's where we get the mention that Joe pointed out earlier. It's like Terra had been right to leave him, that he'd always be alone. He's very, he's in that mindset. So he had a girl. She left him.
All those flashbacks, and I don't remember that bit.
But he fills a cup up, and he takes Shallan some water, too. It's like, here you go. It makes water by getting cold, he says. He's like, oh, condensation? That's cool. Navani would be very interested in that. And she points out that Kaladin actually manages to walk like the sailors do, like he's very on balance. Azure, on the other hand, does not seem to like being on boats. And Shallan is doing some pictures of, they're not good. When she's in Shadesmar, for some reason, her drawing is not going well. But they both have seen these spren near chasm fiends and sky eels and anything else that should be heavier than it actually is. And she's like, I think this is how, like, these things help sky eels fly. And he's like, well, chasm fiends don't fly. And she says, they kind of do, mathematically. When you do a calculation on these great shells, they should be crushed by their own weight.
Just a gravity assist spread.
Yeah. So that's an interesting little note. Yeah.
Just feels like at some point, over the course of the last two books, someone called Brandon up about the square cube law, and he's like, fine, I'll do something about it.
Yeah, right. Well, and gravity on Roshar is higher than normal, if I remember right, or lower than? I think it's higher. No.
Bender,
Dang it.
Bender, you've been drinking too much. Or not enough. I forget how it works with you. You haven't been drinking the right amount.
It's true.
I gotta look it up. Roshar has 70% of our gravity. That's why everyone's taller and stuff gets bigger because they have less gravity. That's what it is.
Right.
Are their bones like more porous?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Like if they end up on other planets, that might be tough for them. They get into one of their weird conversations where they start making jokes again. They talk about splinters, and she's like, I had a splinter once. It eventually got out of hand. He's like, oh my God, you didn't.
In the words of our Google Home robot, what a rib tickler.
That's great. Do you tell jokes to your robot, or does the robot tell you jokes and then compliment itself on its jokes?
Yeah, we get up in the morning, we go down, and Kiddo we'll go, hey Google, good morning, and it will tell us the time, the forecast, and say, here's a joke to start your day, and it's like fucking appalling level jokes, and then we'll just go,
like
what a
bad
what a
jokes.
rib tickler.
What a rib tickler.
I like that it compliments itself on its jokes. That's
Yep.
great.
Patting itself on its non-existent back.
Bastard.
And okay, so this conversation is a weird one to me. The Spren don't seem that interested in us. They don't even seem curious. And Shallan's like, yeah, which is odd considering how interesting Azure is. Hey, all that talk about like chasing bounties and traveling worlds, she's deeply mysterious. And Calvin's like, I'm mysterious. Dude, come on. Try hard.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
I used to think you were, then I found out you don't like good puns. It's truly possible to know too much about somebody.
Just because you had a weird jelly guy who liked puns doesn't mean everybody's got to like puns. Come on.
And they determine we're probably about 2 days from where we're going, which is pretty quick progress considering. And he's like, we got to try to go through the Oath Gate at Thalen City. Dalinar's in danger. We have to help. And she's like, I don't know if we can trust what you saw. It's dangerous to presume you know the future. And this is where they get into the discussion of like what stuff is called on the ship. What do you think they call these railings here? A deck wall? And he's like, no doubt they've made up some obscure nautical word. Port and starboard instead of left and right. Galleys instead of kitchens. Nuisance instead of Shallan. So they're sniping back and forth in a good-natured way, I think. It's nice.
Does not mean they should date. Sill.
And he thinks something feels right about this interaction. Not like Laurel, his boyhood crush. Not even like Terra, his first real romance. There's something different here. And I love that he actually comes out and asks her. He's like, you remember when you told me all that stuff about like your dad and your life? How do you do it? How do you keep smiling and laughing and not fixate on all the terrible things that have happened? And she's like, oh, I just like cover them up. I don't think about them. Which deeply unhealthy, but he's just like, wow, that's great. I wish I could do that.
Let's just praise all these unhealthy ways of dealing with our trauma.
And he's like, I mean, it's better than not being able to function like I get sometimes. And she's like, yeah, that's what I tell myself. Yasna said that power is an illusion of perception.
What a terribly depressing conversation.
Yeah, right. And he's like, well, whatever you're doing, it's working. You got a good thing going there, Shallan, he says.
God, look at you two trauma bonding.
Yeah. And then we wrap up. That is the end of that chapter with him really impressed by her horrible coping mechanisms. So let's move into predicaments. We're going to do 4 chapters again next time. So that's 100 through 103. And those chapter titles are 100 is An Old Friend. 101 is Deadeye. 102 is Celebrant. And 103 is Hypocrite. So what do you guys think? Where are we going? What's going to happen?
Yeah. Oh, man. I just want more Shadesmar. Just give me more Shadesmar. That's what I want in my life. They're on a boat now, so potentially we're gonna see, less Shadesmar interaction, but they might also get to the city. So to have a full-blown Spren City, they should just name a game Spren City instead of Sim City. You know what I mean? Like that'd just be awesome. That's something Brandon should explore. A Shadesmar video game. That'd be pretty interesting. Anyway. I'm just excited to see what is in store for us at this city. So I'm super pumped to get into that. I want to know more about what's going on with Nail. He's like, nah, we got some stuff. I'm going to teach you my secrets. It's like, oh, I want to know the secrets. So let's get some secrets going. That's what I want. And, Dalinar, the stuff that they're kind of figuring out, I feel like that's kind of a slow burn because, you don't make legal systems and trade agreements overnight. So I would assume that that's going to take a bit. And hopefully we're not like sitting in a Congress of people just like, okay, I think the trade agreement should be this. I don't think that makes for very good storytelling, so I doubt that will be the case. Hopefully it is not.
It's going to be like the prequel trilogy with trade negotiations.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
actually,
it'd be great.
People kind of crap on that in Phantom Menace. I actually kind of like the idea that that something as simple as a trade dispute led to them, which, who knows what came before which in the Phantom Menace. Sorry, we're taking a Phantom Menace digression here. Like, did the Sith Lord approach them and be like, you need to push these trade tariffs and like do a blockade? Or was it like they sought help for their trade negotiations, so they went to this evil dude who was like, I'll help you? Either way, interesting premise for the start of those films. Anyway, I don't really know what to expect. I feel like our predicament section has been very lackluster in all of the I feel like in almost all of the books in this series, just because there's so much book, it's like, I don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of stuff going on, and there's going to continue to be a lot of stuff going on.
There is a lot of stuff going on. You're not wrong. It's there's just so much every which way, like, and every time we get like one of those interludes and stuff that just builds up the world somewhere else, you realize like stuff is still happening in these other places while we're with our small number of main characters. And I like how big that makes the world feel, but it does make things a little daunting probably for y'all's predicaments.
Yep. There's always stuff going on, and it's just so big. It's like we just can't capture the scope of what's going to happen in our predicaments. I agree with Joe. I just want more Shadesmar. One of the chapters was called Celebrant, which I believe is the name of the town or the city. So
Yep.
I'm like, oh, sick! A whole like the Shadesmar city. Yes, fucking all in. Let's go. But yeah, I just don't know where where some of the stories are building to. Dalinar's story, he's still on the unite them front, and now he's working with the world leaders, and it's like that's cool and it's interesting to listen to, but I can't think of big events to predict out of that.
Yeah.
So it's sort of hard to like predict stuff for his story while ultimately he is spending most of his time in Urithiru. They've sort of hinted he might go somewhere, which would be interesting, but I don't know where or for what purpose. Like, Kaladin saw him in Thaylen City, so it's like, oh, is he gonna go to Thaylen City? Well, he was just there, really. So I don't know. It's like, is he gonna go back? I don't know. It just doesn't feel like, yeah, that's where he's gonna go. So I don't know. Well, long and short of this is, I don't really know what's going on at this point. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where it's gonna go, and making predictions for it at the moment just kind of, you need some other incident to happen to make a call about it. So I don't know. It just comes down to we'll see, but I don't know what to expect, and that makes it hard to predict what's going to happen.
Fair. Yep. Do you? I don't know. We don't have a lot of information. We're learning about Shadesmar as we go, right? And you guys are both like, it's going to be exciting to see this Spren city, because what is a Spren city going to be like? Do we have any thoughts on potentially what a Spren city could be like? All we know so far is they have money changers with perfect spheres or gems or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we have no idea, like, really
Mhm.
what this is going to take, because this is our first extended foray in Shadesmar on Roshar. So, like, we know that the sea is beads here. Okay, so what else is going to be different about their world? Is there going to be food in Celebrant? Is there going to be, like, what is society going to be like? Is it going to be one of those fancy things where it's like society is kind of human, like this, like, I don't want to say Star Warsy or Star Trekky, but like they go to other planets, and it's kind of like society it's very similar to human society, just with a few like different rubber masks or CGI or something.
Mhm.
So it's like, is it going to be that, or is it going to be like they call it a city, but it's actually like a collection of floating rocks that people live inside and they don't communicate with each other for like who the fuck knows at this point?
It's gonna be like that episode of Star Trek with like the floating ooze that eats that crew member.
Yeah, sure.
I certainly hope not.
Is it going to take some inspiration from real world culture? Like, I don't know. Is there a running of the Spren, like the running of the bulls through the streets? We don't know. We don't know what to expect.
You're not wrong. Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Actually, now that I've said it, I kind of want to see the running of the Spren.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Like, what kind of Spren would that be that is going to be running? That could be interesting. I wonder if
The sky eels. The Spren that help the sky eels.
Oh, the Mandras. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about how, like, man, these epigraphs are pretty good. Not like the first half of the epigraphs in the last section, but actually we have reached just about the halfway point of part 4 already. There's 25 chapters in part 4, and I think that we've read 11 or 12. 1, 2,
Okay.
3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 12. We read 12 chapters so far,
Yeah.
so we're just about halfway through part 4 already.
Yeah, that Sander is lanching a bit, so.
We still have, after this one, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got 9 more episodes of this book left after this one, but we are approaching, we're 74% of the way through at this point, so we're getting there. Jamie, what do you got?
Kind of agree with everyone's thoughts on it's really difficult of where to go next with predictions. given how far we are into this book, I don't think we're going to see anything extra from Taravangian. So Taravangian, I was sort of hoping to get a bit more than just his. Some days I'm really a genius, and some days I'm not a genius, and some days I fake being a genius or not a genius, and like I don't know. He's still got Yalkaved. We've lost Kolinar. There's so much going on there, but I don't think we're going to see that come to fruition in this story. We've still got the Parshman or the Fused. Like now, we don't really have. I don't think we've got. Do we have Eshni perspectives in this section?
I don't. Hold on. Let me double check.
Sorry.
Part 4.
Not Eshni. What's you're talking about? Her sister, Venli.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Venli is
Venli.
listed as a perspective for part 4. Yep.
Okay, so we might get like a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be a huge amount. So we still got like that to wrap up before. I find we're in a point now where I really thought we would get more out of the Kolinar storyline, and it just kind of it feels like it ended as almost quickly as it started. Like it only lasted a part, which I think we were predicting that something was going to have to happen by the end of the part, but then I wasn't prepared for what would happen if it did end that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, fair.
It's like it's almost like starting again. You're like, okay, let's get a new lay of the land and see where we go. But I'm hoping that whatever Seth is going to learn now is going to be really cool information for us, especially if we are getting close to Sanderland territory. Because I feel like 75% through every other story, we've got a bit of an idea of what we're building to, or at least what the major conflict in the book is going to be. And I feel like now we've lost that in this book. Like we had a few things kind of on the burner. We're like, yep, maybe the Fused storyline is going to be the big thing, and maybe it still is, but we have no idea what they're doing there at the moment. So I am lost on where we go next. I think we as the reader almost feel as lost as all of our other characters. You know, Shallan's having her identity crisis and how to manage that. Kaladin seeing things from too many perspectives. Dalinar's remembering things he wished he'd forget permanently and remembering things about himself. And we as the reader are going, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know who we are anymore. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm lost. I'm just along for the ride at this point. I'd love to make a really big, bold prediction, but I got nothing.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I don't think I'd ever thought about that before, but you're right, because we had the Kolinar story that we built to, and then it's gone. So yeah, what is the central conflict? What are we building towards as the climax of the book? It's not like Well of Ascension, where you knew the big battle was coming. We spent the whole book being like, the siege of Luthadel is looming. They're going to attack eventually. We spent the Final Empire being like, well, we're going to try to overthrow the Lord Ruler. That's what we're working towards. That's what we're aiming at. We don't have that here. I don't know that we've ever had. Well, okay. Words of Radiance, we were building towards heading out into the center and beating the Parshendi for a lot of that book, and that is where the book kind of climaxed. I don't know that Way of Kings had anything like that, but yeah, we're kind of adrift. You're right. I never thought about it that way.
I feel like we still had a bit more direction in Words of Radiance, yes, than we do now. But like you're right, of what was like the main conflict of the book, I don't really fully know, but it kind of felt like that main Shadowlands storyline was coming to the close. Like we won the battle, but there was still bits to close out. I like we were there, and now we're back to kind of being all over the shop.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, our characters are separated, and we've got new places, multiple new places. Like we're at the Pure Lake with Zethan and the what's it called?
Skybreakers.
I'm like, Truth Break. No, I gotta let go of the truth thing. It's not
Truth Breakers. That'd be a scary one.
Yeah, I think it's because he's like truthless. I think that's where I keep going to. It's like, no, Jamie, stop your brain. And yeah, I don't know, we've got so much to do. Mate, I don't know. I'm hoping by the end of the book, maybe our characters are back out of Shadesmar. They've reunited with Dalinar. Dalinar has made some progress uniting, you know, the human component of the cast, and we somehow deal with the Fused on some level. You know, Odium's watching in Shadesmar, Odium's watching in the physical realm. we've got to get some things moving there, probably to build up whatever's going to happen in book 4.
Yeah, that kind of tracks. Yeah, I agree. Okay, it'll be interesting to see because we now have at least one little string where Kaladin's like, Dalinar's in trouble. I have to get there and save him from something that's going to happen. Like, we don't even. Kaladin says he's going to be in Thaylen City and in trouble. We don't even have any indication that Dalinar's heading to Thaylen City. So maybe that's a lead on where we're going with this, but it's a very thin one at this point. If that is.
And that's also Kaladin assuming that it's something that's going to happen. Like, I know they're saying it's dangerous to look at the future and all that sort of stuff, but maybe it's just something he needed to see. Yeah, sure, Dalinar's in trouble, but it's not about where he's going to be. Didn't he collapse in Thaylen City? Is that where he was when all his?
Is that where he got his memories?
Is that where he got his memories back?
I think you're right.
So
I think you may be right. Yeah. And actually, I think it may have been Azir now, and not Thaylen City. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. I guess let's move on to. We'll do a couple emails. We don't have any new patrons this week, so we'll do a couple emails and wrap up. How about that? No, that one's going to be a spoiler for later. We're going to save a few of these emails we got.
How full is the inbox?
Let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 8 at the moment.
Jeez.
So we can empty out a couple of these. At least 2 of them are going to have to wait a while. So really, we've got 6 that we could do right now, possibly. Okay, so the first one says, keep up the great work. Hi, DJ and DJ. Big fan of the show. Started reading the Stormlight earlier last year and was able to finish all of the associated standalones by book 5 by the end of the year. I don't know if that's including book 5 or up till book 5. I feel like that's an incomplete sentence. Anyway, after only being able to go a few months without the Sando Man, I started reading Mistborn, following along with you guys. And now 5 months later, I no longer need to read along. I get to speed through Stormlight, listening to your predictions and having a good laugh at some of the predictions. Episode 1 predictions were they hoped Kaladin would do well in Amaram's army and would go to the Shattered Plains in honor as a promotion. Had me giggling and saying, oh boy, little do you know. Well, okay, yeah. It would have been hard to predict where Kaladin was going to end up from what we saw in that first episode 2, where they also thought Shallan was a well-put-together noblewoman, and would much rather be in her shoes than Kaladin's, was another one of those moments. You've done a great job not losing your composure and giving away that not all is not as it seems. Keep up the great work. From Mark. So, yeah. Those early predictions do seem kind of funny in retrospect, huh?
It's been 84 years.
It's a Stargate meme. Nice.
I thought it was Titanic.
All right, let's...
I think it is Titanic and Stargate, borrowed it. But we know Data loves the Stargate. Everything goes through the Stargate filter for him.
That is fair.
No, you're right. That is absolutely a Titanic meme, and I honestly did not know where that meme was from. I thought that was an image of somebody from an episode of Stargate, and then it wasn't until you said it that I went and looked and was like, oh, you can tell from the background exactly where this is. Man,
Data,
look at me learning
Data
things.
loves Stargate so much that he just is like, that's Stargate, clearly.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
That's awesome.
I haven't seen the movie Titanic since I was 13, to be fair,
Yeah.
but still.
Yeah, it's a weird experience.
Our mom had the two VHS set of Titanic.
That's right.
So
What other?
ooh,
Go ahead.
I legitimately don't think I've seen that since it was in cinemas.
Oh, really?
I was 8.
Yeah, I saw it about the same age as well, thinking I shouldn't be watching this. I'm too young to see this movie.
I just have this vivid memory of the whole family went to see it, and my parents, we came outside, and I forget who it was. Someone asked me, and it's like, well, did you prefer before it hit the iceberg or after it hit the iceberg? And I just, but I just stared them down because I was 8 years old. I was fucking bored out of my mind. I stared them down and said, my favorite part was when it hit the iceberg.
What an interesting way as an adult to try to review that movie.
Yeah, when you put it that way, that makes me think it might have been my older brother who asked me that.
Yeah. Yeah. What other 2 VHS movies were classics? Scarface, I remember, was a 2 VHSer.
Braveheart, I think, was too.
Two VHSs for Braveheart.
I think the Lord of the Rings movies were like the last dying gasp of VHS.
Like double VHS, yeah.
Yeah.
I was moved on to DVD by then, so I would not have known
Yeah.
that. Okay, interesting.
I can't remember. There's like a movie that famously was like the last movie released on VHS. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Okay.
A History of Violence with Viggo Mortensen.
Really?
Huh?
That was
Interesting.
2000.
Wow.
David Cronenberg.
2006.
2006.
Wow. Didn't know VHS was kicking that long.
Right?
Yeah. Later that year, apparently Disney also sent their movie club members Cars on VHS, but that was only to like Disney club members that received those movies in the mail.
Wow. Suck it, Disney movie club members.
Yeah.
You're paying a bunch of money for that.
It's crazy.
Oh, good times, good times. There's still, I feel like there's still a couple of movies that we had on VHS that have never made the transition to DVD
Oh,
because they were just that
100%.
unpopular.
Yeah, like there's tons
So
of movies
I'm like-
that exist that never made it to DVD.
I'm sad to have lost those. Like the instant classic Masterminds with Patrick Stewart and Vincent Kartheiser.
I found it streaming somewhere.
Never DVD though.
Yeah. But I did find it streaming. I was like, oh yeah, I remember this movie, and I watched the whole thing.
Nice.
You guys ever have to get like VHS converted to DVDs?
No, I never did
I
that.
did not.
Like,
I've seen a machine that does it. I just never had.
yeah,
it.
like not for like legal release stuff like that, but like
like home movies and stuff.
yeah. When you had stuff on home video and
Yeah.
that you'd filmed yourself, or like it had been for an event or something, and you got given the VHS.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I need to get this converted because I don't have a VCR.
Yeah, I
Right,
want,
who did
I want
they?
to say when our grandparents passed, our aunts did that. They found a bunch of like old videotape of like home movies
that would
and,
make sense.
and converted it to DVD.
Okay, let's do another of these emails. This one is from Ruari, who we've heard from before. Hey, Sanderlanche crew. Just listened to the latest episode and wanted to chime in and say that Data had actually told y'all about Elikar's death a long time ago. I don't remember what episode it was, but y'all were joking about Elikar finally doing something good and then dying. And Data said something like, he says his first oath and then the light leaves his eyes.
Oh,
Mother
That did happen.
fuck. When was that?
I don't remember exactly when that was, but I totally said not those exact, but yeah, something. We had a running joke for a minute about like the light leaving his eyes, and I was like, he's just about to speak the oaths of the Knights Radiant, and then the light or whatever, and the light. Yeah, so
Son of a
I did that.
bitch.
That's
You're a real
kind of
jerk.
jargon things for the audience. No, the audience loves that stuff, you know.
Yeah, well, again, those of people out there, because I've seen some comments. Those people out there say we're reading ahead. We're not.
Let's see. Also, about losing track of time when closed somewhere without the sun. Often, experiments have been done with groups of people isolated in caves, and their days basically doubled. They'd sleep for 16 hours and stay awake for 32. But whilst it is possible that the guards were imprisoned for longer than they thought without anything magical happening. Oh, it's the guards in the palace, yeah. I doubt that it wasn't something magic. Just wanted to give some extra info, as I actually worked in a cave and was happy to be able to contribute in some way.
Nice.
And then there's a comment about something else that I said that we have not gotten to the reveal for yet, so I won't talk about that.
Working in a cave.
Anywho,
Never worked in a cave.
keep up the great podcast. Oathbringer's actually one of my favorite Sanderson books, so each new episode is the highlight of my week. I've been in some caves. I don't think I've ever worked in a cave.
No, I've been in a cave. Been in Carlsbad.
Yeah, went to Carlsbad and a couple other. There's several cave systems in that area.
Yeah.
Let's do one more. We'll knock out half of the readable emails. This one is called Moass.
Oh boy.
Moass.
Sure.
And it says, "Hey Data, hope you're doing well. I want to address Dak if I may. Dak, thank you. I listened to the book after your episode posts to my podcast player, so it's fresh when I listen. I had just finished the chapter with Moash. Moass? So I guess this is the person listening to the audiobooks. They didn't know how to spell it. When I heard your intro, that was the intro that Dak did. That
was the cranky one.
Elikar, yeah. Yep. People love that. I got so many
Oh
comments.
yeah. I was wondering about that. I was like, how did this go down? People are going to find this hilarious or insufferable.
He says, that perfectly encapsulated my feelings. I actually yelled and cussed out loud when he took his revenge. I agree with the way all three of you evaluated his actions. Not only was his treatment of a 3-year-old reprehensible, but his approach was selfish. Beyond that, I found it craven and without honor. Elokar which he spells Alucard. Yes, I listened to the audiobook, so names are all spelled as well as I can.
That's fine.
Alucard was not, understandable for sure. Alucard was not paying attention, so he took advantage. Now, I get all's fair in war, but when Moash mentor is bound by honor, I would think that would play especially heavily on Kaladin's shoulders. At this point, I do not want a redemption arc. I want him to die. Painful is great, but I will accept any death. Dak, I was so appreciative of your feelings, and yes, I know why you're mad. Signed, your brother in anti-Moash arms.
Oh, fuck, you got me good there.
I love that.
Well played, well played. Tip my hat to you.
What if Spook had showed up and said, I know why you're mad? Would that have been less creepy?
We'd be like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah, no.
You're on the wrong planet.
It's not right at all. Thank you all for your emails. Those were fun. If you'd like to send us an email, the address is thesanderlanch@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram and Facebook and Blue Sky and Patreon, where I have almost finished posting my reactions to Wind and Truth. There are 2 more episodes left after this episode that we're recording today. There's 2 more Wind and Truth episodes for the Patreon.
So close.
Yeah, it's so funny because somebody commented on one the other day that's like, hey, could you do a live read of some part of this book when you get there? And I was like, I'm sorry, dude, but I finished this book in February or January or something. And it's just taken this long for all of the bits to come out. So it's a little late for me to try to do a live read. I'm sorry. That was a good idea. If I'd gotten it, we're in November now when we're recording this. So that would have been 10 months ago. That is how long it took for Wind and Truth to get completely onto our Patreon. To be fair, I missed some weeks in there. I think there was one period where I missed several weeks in a row. So we didn't hit every single one, but it's a long book.
Should have dropped them all at once if you miss some weeks.
Yeah, that probably would have been nicer. I didn't think about that. Why didn't you recommend that? When
you don't
I did that
tell
thing that you
me
didn't know
that.
about?
You don't tell me, hey, I missed some weeks posting on the Patreon, and I can't see the Patreon.
That's true. Joe's not allowed.
Yeah, we are banned.
But I will say, I still hadn't made much progress in Isles of the Emberdark, so I had some extra day. I needed to take some extra PTO days before the end of the year, so I took this previous Friday off, and I sat down and I read through and recorded myself doing the whole first third of Isles of the Emberdark. I've gotten exactly 33% of the way through that book now, and recorded several episodes. So when we run out of Wind and Truth, there will be material available for the Patreon. I would have gotten more done, but I had to go and get small children, and it's hard to record with them in the house. But thank you to everyone, all of our patrons. You guys are awesome. People on the Discord, if you want to join the Discord, there's a link on our website, www.thesanderlanch.com. Look at the top of the page. It says join the Discord. That's how you get there. Thank you to all of our listeners who just show up every week and listen to us go through these chapters. I love doing this. I hope you guys love listening to it. So we appreciate you. Remember, we are doing 4 more chapters for next time. That is chapters 100 through 103. So if you're following along, do those 4 chapters. Music by Miracle of Sound. And Wasing to the Time of Next. Colo, P.S. Fasher. Crabs ahoy!
Coronas wide, supernovas die, fractured in the fateful fall of man. Feel the heart raging of a strength unseen. Unity will bring the upper hand. So look to the break of dawn, to the break of dawn.